I highly recommend using a bidet. It's like having your butthole touched by a cool, wet tongue that leaves you feeling refreshed and more than a little damp. This is the story of a jet ski. This is the engine right after I pulled it out of the ski, and if you recall part 2, which you definitely don't because that was literally months ago, this is what it looked like the last time you saw it. Oh, and that's looking pretty nifty now. Wow, how did you get it to look so good? Oh my god, I'm just, fuck me, that's beautiful. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go. It all started with the bottom half of the crankcase, then some bullshit happened and I ended up with something that looked like this. I mean, it was this. This is what I ended up with. This is why I don't make instructional videos. I ordered a new rotary valve and remanufactured cover because look at all the scoring on the old rotary valve. When installing the new rotary valve, it's super important to pay attention to these timing angles with the magnetoside piston at top dead center so that, oh hey, look, here's where I actually started filming the engine reassembly. Maybe this video will hold some value now. Who am I kidding? Of course it won't. However, I can show you exactly how to torque the flywheel. Just like that. See? Easy. This is the setup that I finally got to work, though.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah, maha!
Snuggle up, my bashful little buttercups. It's story time. Just gotta let this letterbox keyframe in, and he slaps down piston parts, then lives, laughs, and lubes as he slides the sleeved needle bearing into place. The snap of the piston ring settling reminds him of, and he tries, but without his he can't, so he, and then, struggling, he puts. The faint aroma of loneliness wafts into his tender nostrils and he almost cries out in despair, but he then realizes it's just the dairy and he cries out in despair. The sheer amount of milk he drinks could fill a container as effectively as an equal volume of water. He's not proud of it, but it's the closest thing he's found to a friend.
What's up, nerds?
Oh, what's up, boy?
I think it's the first time I've ever been live.
Well, welcome to the coolest part of the house where all the boys hang out. One thing he is proud of is the number of boys currently in his basement. Like, men. Adults, who are there voluntarily. Turns out milk is not his only friend after all. He exaltedly manhandles the exhaust manifold simply to align the cylinders as they are torqued. The fact that he just provided a useful tip surprises him, and, frightened, he loses all semblance of creative inspiration and... Well, you know what they say, a bird in the hand and 2 in another hand and you got 3 birds, but the government takes about 30%, so you have a little over 2 birds, which, if they're high-quality birds, are worth about $75, and with that amount of money, you too could not have enough money to buy a new jet ski. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. The PTO flywheel, nope, that's the starter motor. The PTO flywheel only really needs to be snug because the rotation of the engine will tighten it for you. Initially, I was going to reuse all the oil and cooling lines, but I'm an indecisive little bitch, so I opted to replace and color code everything. Oil lines are yellow, fuel lines that I documented very poorly are black, and cooling lines are blue. Wow, just look at the profound wisdom on that face. That is the face of a man who has seen the inside of an engine and still doesn't quite understand how it works. But damn, it looks good. The engine, I mean. If you're wondering why it takes me months to upload a single video, it's because I've been sitting here for half an hour trying to brainstorm some shitty, witty commentary for 6 seconds of exhaust installation, and see, now we've already moved on to installing the engine and I'm still just flapping my gums, providing nothing of value. Oh wait, hold on, what is that in there? I think I see... Is that your virginity down there? Oh no, definitely not. I haven't lost that.
Just explodes. Nice.
Like really hard though?
Yeah, like a big one.
Oh hell yeah, the engine cranks. That is super satisfying. I primed the oil pump by holding the lever fully open and cranking the engine until the small oil lines filled. I have an issue. After installing the jet pump, I can no longer rotate the engine by hand. My guess is that the wear ring compressed as the pump body was torqued, squeezing in on the impeller. Balls, said the queen. If I had to, I'd be king, and the king laughed, not because he wanted to, but because he had to. So here's what I did. I greased the outer edges of the impeller, then used a strap wrench to rotate the engine until the wear ring was shaved down enough to allow the engine to crank smoothly and delicately cover my camera in grease spray. This hose fitting with a couple of ball valves so that the cooling circuit flows normally when I'm out getting absolutely pitted on the jet ski, but I can also close off the outlet side when back flushing with a hose. Well folks, 9 months and 6 wholesome, family-friendly videos later, and here we are at the moment of truth. Time to find out if this is, in fact, a wet, hot, funky speed giraffe of hot, wet... He peers into the dark abyss of the hull, searching for something, anything that will give his life meaning, or at least hint at why his jet ski isn't starting. Much like a two-stroke, he can't get going unless he's being choked. Also, the fuel lines just needed to be primed and... The optimal out-of-water idle is 3000 RPM, which this is definitely not, so I tweaked the idle speed screw as one would an unruly nipple until the neighbors were sufficiently annoyed. I gotta say, I'm pretty damn excited that it started and ran this smoothly on more or less the first try. And all I had to do was rebuild literally everything. Just check out how excited the bottom half of my face is.
Okay. Yeah, it's all that. I put all that fogging oil in.
Oh, right.
It runs, but then every once in a while it just... Oh. I know why.
Why?
Because this key just keeps, like... doesn't sit tightly on there.
Oh,
so
right.
I think it just, like, pops off a little bit. That's probably why. That makes sense.
I knew next to nothing about jet skis when starting this project. I had ridden one once before, back in my high school years. So many people look back at their high school selves with disdain and disappointment, but I've come to realize that those were some of the best years of my life. I was in the prime of my virile youth, an unstoppable machine on the soccer field, popping boners left and right, well, actually only left, like a hard hook left, but life was fantastic. I wasn't burdened by the stress of simply trying to survive, and I was constantly learning and being pushed out of my comfort zone. We all had so much potential. I also discovered that, unfortunately, there is a direct correlation between the number of friends you have and the length of your rat tail. So jet skis. This is the only one I've owned, and honestly, I have no idea how to ride it. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it runs as well in the water as it did on land. My cousin had one, okay? And his was even longer than mine. I thought it was cool. We all make bad decisions. I just happened to make one that was greasy and braided. You know, I'm just now realizing that I probably bought this jet ski to redeem myself. I even saved it. It's in a plastic bag somewhere at my parents' house. What is wrong with... Well, turn my family Asian. She's idling perfectly at 1500 RPM. I'm honestly a bit sad this project is over. Maybe it's just my sentimental choice of music, or maybe it's because literally hundreds of hours of cleaning and troubleshooting have resulted in a machine that actually works. Either way, this old SeaDoo has come pretty far, from a poorly maintained sludge bucket to a funky giraffe of wet-hot speed. Stay tuned, because my next project is a camper build for my 4Runner, which may or may not tickle all your little willies. Until then, it's time for me to make like a baby and head out.
Well, that was a good test of the safety lanyard, because it killed the engine, so that works. Guess I gotta learn how to ride a jet ski.